Hello and welcome to Module 5 of the Standards Mastery Framework workshop. This module is all about Illuminate, which is an online testing platform. So we began this journey with Module 1, where we provided an overview of what Standards Mastery Framework is. In Module 2, we looked at the prioritized standards that the learning architects identified as the standards for each course that are the most important. In Module 3, we looked at the proficiency scales that were created for each of those prioritized standards. The proficiency scales provides guidelines for teachers for them to be able to identify at what level of mastery students have achieved for each of the standards. Module 4 overviewed the evidence blueprints. This provided a guideline for teachers on how many and what type of assessment items were needed to show that the student has mastered the standard. As I said, Module 5 is all about Illuminate, and Illuminate is taking the assessment items that have been created by the learning architects and putting them in one central location. So if all of the students and teachers in Fulton County are focusing on the prioritized standards, then the assessments should also be focused and common as well. And so Illuminate is the platform in which those assessment items are housed. So when using Illuminate, you'll want to use Chrome and you'll access it through Launchpad. And I'm going to exit this presentation and go to that now. And as you can see right here, we have Illuminate. If we click on that, signing in, it will be your Fulton County credentials. If it's your first time logging in, you'll have to type them. If not, just hit sign in. And then here's what the main page of Illuminate look like. Some of you have already been trained on Illuminate as a PLC leader or an instructional lead. This presentation will focus mainly on the Standards Mastery Framework aspect, but I will provide a little bit of information that was shared with you guys and for anyone else that's interested in Illuminate. So if you go to the assessment tab right here, you can also access it by clicking on create an assessment. If we go here and we create an item bank assessment, this is where we'll access the questions that the learning architects created. And I will say Illuminate is a little slow today. So here we have assessment standard mode and quick mode. My suggestion would be to do standard mode because quick mode automatically chooses the questions for you, and you should definitely look and make sure that the questions are what you want them to be. And then we'll click next. Assessment name, we could say geometry test. Academic year, as you can see. And all of this stuff, you don't have to enter, but you can. So then here we would hit type. If you scroll down, we see Fulton County Priority Standards. You can click on that. You can also click on Standards of Excellence. Any of our courses that have Georgia Standards of Excellence standards will have items separate from the Standards Mastery Framework. So we'll go with Priority Standards and Math, and we'll go to Geometry. And as you can see, the Fulton County Priority Standards are below. So one thing to keep in mind is that these are items that the learning architects have entered, and some of them have been vetted. So some of them have been checked for accuracy, both in the sense of create a correct written question, but then also a correct answer key. My suggestion to you would be to definitely take a look and make sure that you're looking very closely at what questions are being pulled up. So from here, you would just click a couple of these. Say I'm going to assess these two standards. Hit next. If I only want the Standards Mastery Framework, then I would click the Fulton Priority Standards Item Bank. However, I would suggest you using these other ones if you're going to use Illuminate for your course, and then hit search. And as you can see, two questions pop up. So we definitely want to be thoughtful when we're using the Fulton County Standards Mastery Framework item bank. And I will say that for different classes, there are more or less questions that are entered. So I am going to click back on item banks, and I'm going to go back to the My Items and the public and progress testing, really anything that says math for this case. And I'm going to say update and search. And you can see I have a lot more items for those two standards that I am interested in assessing. You would click that, add item and standard, click next, and then from there follow the prompts to make sure that everything looks to be correct. Lots of different options for printing and publishing as well. So that's what Illuminate is used for the Standards Mastery Framework. But as I mentioned before, I would like to share that there is more than just pulling items from the Standards Mastery Framework that you can do with Illuminate. So as I mentioned, we have the item bank option for the test, but the other option is the manual hybrid or the flexible. They're very similar, the interface just looks different. And this is where if you already have a test that's been created, you can upload it and get some really good information about it. So I'm going to go quickly through this just to be mindful of your time. And if you have more questions or if you're interested in using Illuminate in your classroom, whether you are a course that has prioritized standards or not, please let me know. I'm happy to help you. So with both the flexible assessment or the manual hybrid and the item bank, the best thing about this are the reports that you get. The reports that you get from these assessments include the most missed questions, broken down by standard, broken down by proficiency bands. Really, the information that you get can really help drive those data conversations and decisions based on your student data. There are other options with Illuminate, but I'm not going to go into those. So the reports. This is why Illuminate is a good tool if it's something that you are willing and want to give a try. So one of the first reports that you might pull as a teacher would be the assessment matrix report. And this provides itemized student responses, average correct on each question, and it's also very easy to see their grades. Another report that you might pull is the teacher assessment overview. This is a really good overall picture for you as a teacher. You see your students in different bands, so far below basic, proficient, exceeding, etc. And you have some flexibility with those bands. You can change it to reflect directly what the milestone mastery bands are, or you can choose your own. The assessment response frequency is, in my opinion, the best guide for data talks. In PLC meetings, it breaks down each question and the percent correct, and it shows the breakdown of responses by each question. And what I think is really powerful about this is on your most missed question, if the majority of your students chose A when the answer was C, then we can start to have conversations as to why our students chose A and think about, was that a misunderstanding from their perspective, or was it something that us as teachers said, or we could adapt to make sure that they're not confused in the future. And then lastly, this multiple assessment performance report. If you're using Illuminate for multiple assessments, this report allows you to see the growth for students across the different assessments on the same standards, which is pretty cool to see. Mr. Clayton says it takes a little bit longer than ZipGrade, but what you get is a gold mine. In addition, Alex, myself, I can pull reports based on a whole PLC. So if you're part of a PLC that's interested in using this, please let me know and I can pull reports so that, say, everybody, we could look at the whole Algebra 1 students or the whole 9th grade lit students and see how they're progressing. So that's all for Illuminate. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know and I'm happy to assist. Illuminate, again, just to recap, does have the Standards Mastery Framework assessment items that have been created by the learning architects, but it does have many other features that can be very beneficial to you as a teacher. Thank you.